This is Smiles TV. Welcome to Smiles Television Talk Show. I'm your host, Stephanie Anthony Miles, and thank you for tuning in to another broadcast. We have a dynamic show for you today. Yes, indeed. We will be talking with Dr. Michael Triplett. Dr. Michael Triplett is the Associate Superintendent of Operations for the Olathe School District in Olathe, Kansas. And he's my homeboy. He's from East St. Louis, Illinois. You don't want to miss this broadcast. Remember, Jesus Christ was born of a virgin. He was crucified and buried, and he rose on the third day. Confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord. Believe in your heart that God has raised him from the dead, and thou shalt be saved. Stay tuned for more smiles.
Hi, my name is Sterling Moody. I'm the owner of Neighbors Market, 1005 North 15th Street, on the Echo Jazz building across from Emerson Park Metrolink stop. We have fresh barbecue Friday and Saturdays. We have Sunday through Saturday, open from 7 to 7. Look forward to seeing you in the store.
The enthusiastic, innovative, and transparent native of East St. Louis, Dr. Triplett is an educator committed to excellence. And with great humility, he models servant leadership. Dr. Triplett earned a doctorate in philosophy and educational leadership from Capella University and holds numerous other degrees. Known as a school turnaround specialist while serving as program director at the innovative Concept Academy and principal of Charles Summer High School in Missouri, Dr. Triplett increased the student attendance rate by more than 50% and decreased the out-of-school suspensions by over 100%. Dr. Triplett's unique swag has enabled him to reach youth who would otherwise become lost in the system. His success has garnered the attention of many local and national media outlets, including being featured on Tavis Smiley's special, School to Prison Pipeline. Dr. Triplett is a man on fire who has an established reputation for lifting as he climbs. His motto is, it takes street sense, common sense, and academic sense to make sense. Because if you can't reach them, you can't teach them.
Character, but brilliant. He's the kind of person that he's strong and he's direct, but he also has a good sense of humor.
No nonsense, straight to the point, from the streets, but very educated.
Academy with Dr. Triplett would be just laughter all day long.
And he definitely puts his students, his staff, the administration, and himself before anybody else. So
and he's like does the best of both worlds. He's like that father figure to them, so they feel comfortable enough to open up to him, but also they know that he don't play around.
It's like I never had a principal that cared so much about you as how Dr. Triplett do. And it just gonna break my heart for me leaving him. But yeah, I am gonna come and visit him to tell him, to let him know how I'm doing. I'm gonna follow every step of the way. He showed me how to be a young lady and how to go on with my life and don't give up.
Welcome back to Smiles Television Talk Show. I'm sitting here with Dr. Michael Triplett. You just heard a lot about him. Now let's meet the man. Dr. Triplett, how are you?
I am well. How are you?
I am blessed, thank you. And thank you for taking the time to come to Smiles Television Talk Show. Dr. Triplett, you know, your background, your history is excellent. And we could go on and on and on. But I want to first start talking about your background from East St. Louis, Illinois. Tell us a little bit about your childhood.
I'm the fourth of 7 children. My mother and grandmother really raised me. Uncles were around, relatives were around, but mostly my grandmother and mother. 3 older brothers who were really big brothers at the time, you know, and nowadays you don't really have a big brother, but they were really big brothers. And so I have 2 sisters and a brother younger than I am. We really grew up with a lot of love in the home, so we really didn't know how impoverished we were. We just knew that we didn't have many of the things that many of our friends had, but we made it. Yeah.
So coming from a large family like that, your character was being built early in life.
Yeah.
You left East St. Louis and you went to Lane College. Tell us a little bit about that.
So Lane College was pretty much an extension from East St. Louis, actually, because there were a lot of gentlemen from East St. Louis attending there as well, and so we really bonded. And not only with students kids from East St. Louis that were there, but really good people from Chicago, Memphis, and the likes, who I really bonded with, who share kind of similar backgrounds as I did. And so through that bond, we just kind of created a climate and a culture around the school. And so all of us, Lane College was really a real close-knit brother-sisterhood kind of thing, with the adults being, mentors and coaches, if you will. And so they kind of really, the numbers were small enough to where all of the staff knew the students. We weren't numbers. So they were really, really interested in us and took interest in us. And then we supported each other.
I understand that you also have a master's degree from St. Louis University. So tell us how your decision to go into the field of education happened.
So it was weird because when in undergrad, I was a business major. Education was not on my radar. And in fact, I was like, I'm not going into education and have those kids do to me what I did to teachers. Oh, absolutely not. So in going into, I began teaching, I began tutoring and coaching some of my colleagues in math and other areas of academics. And so I still didn't think about teaching at that time. But when I graduated, I started tutoring some kids after school at the Leslie Bay Davis neighborhood house. And I said, man, maybe this is my calling. And so I began substitute teaching in St. Louis public schools, and really loved it. Really loved it. And from that kind of spurred other things. I became a school social worker and assistant principal in elementary, middle, and high school, and program director and alternative school, and then my time in central office as assistant superintendent.
I understand, and I see that wherever you go, most people say that you tend to turn things around quickly. How do you do that?
The key is in the building. You have to really get those people who really want change, who are in the building. It's not about any external factors. You have everything you have in the building, and many teachers, if not most, they want change. Many kids, if not most, want structure. And so you just kind of team up with those power players of teachers and other administrators who want change and who are ready for change, and those students who want change and who are ready for change, and listen to them. Their voice counts. Their voices should be in your vision statement. All stakeholders' voices should be in your vision statement. They should be in you should feel their voices in the hallways, right? And so once you get all of their buy-in and everyone's agreeing to everything, and then that check and balance is in the system, and the check and balance is within each other. And so you get all of that, and all I do is maintain it.
I understand. So let's talk about this quote. It takes street sense, common sense, and academic sense to make sense. Because if you can't reach them, you can't teach them.
Absolutely. So our kids come with, especially the black male, and I want to focus on the black male because I want to come back full circle to it. But with the black male, the one thing we know how to do is fight, right? And so we come to our school settings with a phenomenal amount of street sense, of street savvy. We come with a strategic amount of common sense, and we use those things to make academics relevant to us. So a lot of times we say, why are we learning this? Well, those of our African American males tools to make academics relevant to them. What we don't do, though, is in the school setting, is use those tools that they already have to make academics make sense to them.
Okay.
And so that's a way to reach them.
And you get down with the kids. I was watching one of your videos, and one of the teachers said that you would actually sit at the tables with the students to engage with them. How do they react to that?
They love it because a lot of times they teach me. And it's weird how, in many cases, kids speak kid language. They don't speak the language that we speak. And so a lot of times when they don't understand us, another child can teach that child exactly what you're trying to teach in a different language. And it's weird, but it happens. And so a lot of times I sit down with children, it's just learning how they do things. And if I can add to it, I add to it, and then I question then.
I was also watching, and I found out the staff members and your co-workers and students respect you, too. So even though you engage with them, you maintain a level of respect. How do you balance that?
Well, the good thing is that everybody has a voice, and people know that I don't have to. I have a presence, and so I don't have to throw around weight to keep that presence. I hold everybody accountable, and in the same breath, I want everybody to hold me accountable. Mm-hmm. So if I say that I'm going to do something, you make sure I'm on task with doing what I say I'm going to do, and vice versa. And so I'm not too big not to be chastised or be brought and have my tail pulled and say, Dr. Triplett, you're not on target. I think a lot of people respect the fact that I can be that kind of a leader who leads from the back, and I don't have to lead from the front.
Give me an example of a student's life that you know that you have changed and had a great impact on.
One student I could really think about is a student named Daje Shelton. Daje was a really troubled girl. Mother's phenomenal. Her mother is a real phenomenal resource. She's really open to receiving help for Daje. And Daje really had a really troubled background. When Daje came, she was attending Northwest High School in St. Louis, public schools, and she somehow ended up in ICA at the alternative setting. And so Daje really was not encouraged. In fact, she was discouraged many times because of the whole stigmatism around alternative schools. And so she just had this mindset that she didn't want to really graduate or do anything or make anything out of her life. And so the whole school really rallied around Daje and trying to push her. In Daje's senior year, she was 12 credits shy of graduating. And so the academic team and myself and talking with Daje and her mother really put her on a path to create some avenues so that she can recoup those credits faster and graduate on time. And in fact, a movie, I believe she was in the movie documentary called To Akeem or For Akeem or something.
I remember that movie.
Yeah. So it was about her, and that was actually Daje and Daje's mom in that movie.
Wow.
And she really did a turnaround at the last minute. I mean, we would go over to her house and tutor her, and she would come into schools on Sundays. The movie did a really good job, but it didn't do a justice of what actually occurred. I think the movie did a phenomenal job, but it actually didn't do justice because Daje really, really went through a lot and did a lot of things to turn herself around, even coming to school on Sundays, and staff would volunteer and come and keep her, babysit her child in the office while she go through what she needed to go through, get her lessons done. And so it's a lot of people poured into one person, and not just Daje, but we did the same thing for many kids who needed it. No money, teachers weren't being paid, but they would come and volunteer on a volunteer basis. And so it just took that kind of thing. I was having, even in an alternative school where kids were last chance, I would give them Sunday school, Saturday school. You come there and you sit down and you get some lessons done, and I would take my time and throughout the day and come
How excellent is that? Tell you what, we need to take a quick break, and we're going to come back, and I want to talk about mentors in motion and do right swag. Okay? Don't go away. We'll be right back with more Smiles. When you visit Big Mama's in East St. Louis, Illinois, located at 5900 St. Clair Avenue, you will need a fork and a bib. Big Mama's is known for their barbecue, cakes, excellent service, and giving back to the community. Call in, eat in, drive through, carry out, order for your office. You can call Big Mama's at 618-398-8950 or visit 5900 St. Clair Avenue in East St. Louis, Illinois. Welcome back to SMilesTV. I'm talking with Dr. Michael Triplett, who is the Assistant Superintendent of Operations for Olathe Schools in Olathe, Kansas. We were talking about a documentary, and I cut you off, I believe, in that conversation, you can elaborate a little bit more about that documentary.
And so it was just a documentary about Dodger Shelton's life, and it was supposed to be about the school, which was the Innovative Concept Academy, but they saw something in Dodger that we really wanted to hone in on, and so they did a documentary on her, and it turned out to be a really amazing documentary.
Tell me about that academy.
The Innovative Concept Academy was started by Judge Jimmy Edwards, and it was for those students who, for all intended purposes, were expelled from traditional high schools or middle schools. And so he gave birth to this notion around, hey, we need to get these kids ready back to be reinstituted back into the schools. And so many kids come to the Innovative Concept Academy and do not want to leave. It's just a lot of resources within the school. Judge Jimmy Edwards did a phenomenal job with partnershiping with other entities to create ways so these kids can be successful and be ready to go back into either the workforce or their traditional school settings.
So you guys did such an excellent job that Tavis Smiley paid a visit to the school. What was that like?
It was weird. You know, two things people ask when you have success is how much money did it take, or what did you do? And so I guess Jimmy Edwards had a little bit of money to do it, but he had a plan to make it happen. And so the Innovative Concept Academy became a model of what alternative schools would look like. And so when this whole notion around school to prison pipeline developed or came about, Tavis Smiley was doing his touring around the country and what might that look like. And I'm not sure how Jimmy Edwards got on Tavis Smiley's radar, but Tavis Smiley reached out to Jimmy Edwards and they had conversations, and next thing you know, Tavis Smiley was on campus.
Oh, excellent. I want to take a little break and show a clip from that interview with Tavis Smiley. Take a look at this.
Last year, you were the principal at a traditional high school.
Absolutely.
And now you're principal here at this alternative program high school. Why put yourself through that much challenge?
In schools, we work with this type of population every day. The only difference is the school is an alternative program. Same kids, same influences in the streets.
Well, they're not the same kids. In a traditional school, not everybody there has been in trouble.
Well, here's what I mean by the same kids. Those kids in the traditional high school live in the same neighborhoods. They face the same challenges in the streets, same living conditions, same external factors outside of school. What we do differently here is we overdose them with hope. We overdose them with tough love, if you will. And I say tough love because the one thing that our kids know how to do is defend themselves. So we have to teach them that every battle is not meant to be fought.
Wow, that was such an excellent clip. Were the kids excited to see Tavis Smiley?
They were. They didn't know who he was at first, and then on the marquee in the school, we were playing some tidbits from some of his shows, and they were like, "That's the man!" And so we were like, "Yeah." So they were kind of excited.
Wow, you have done such excellent work every place that you have gone, and people, like I said earlier, respect you tremendously. What do you consider to be a strong role model, male role model?
Yeah. So for me, a strong role model is that person who's not necessarily trying to be a role model. Everything he does is genuine, but he acknowledges that young folk take to him, and that they duplicate what they see. I tell people all the time, it's really, really hard for you to see 500 people, but it's really easy for 500 people to see you. And so people see and watch what you do, so you gotta always stay cognizant of your surroundings, how you do things, where you do things, because you never know what light bulb would turn on for some young person or even some older person. In the terms of role models, that'll come. You'll have kiddos saying, "Dr. Triplett, I want to be like you. Dr. Triplett, can you help me get here?" And so then you become that automatically, not necessarily saying I'm a role model for him, but it comes.
Tell us a little bit about your book.
So my book is called Different Thinking Leads to Different Outcomes, and it's a guide on how to educate the black male student.
Okay.
Many years, and many students, many students of color, but particularly black male students because I'm a black male, and I was once a black male student, and in many cases still am. But a lot of times we're misunderstood. The crazy thing about it, we're misunderstood throughout all races and all ethnic groups and all genders, right? And we're misunderstood because of our mentalities. A lot of people say we're too aggressive, or we don't care, or we're nonchalant. And in many cases, it's not the case. It's that we don't understand. And we won't, a lot of times we won't crowd and say, help me, because of that macho thing. I don't know what that is, but we won't say help me even when we need help. We can die on our beds needing help and just won't say it. And so when we don't say it, a lot of people don't pick up on it. And so they just move forward, and thus creating that whole notion around the African American male being misunderstood.
So the demographics of the Olathe school district is very different from where you came. How do you bridge that gap, or how do you mesh your background with what you're dealing with today?
You know, what's odd is that Olathe is a really thriving school district, but they still have challenges. There are kids in those districts, white and students of color, who have challenges. You know, have similar challenges in terms of family dynamics, right? Socioeconomic statuses, and so they too need assistance. And when you start talking about districts as large and as thriving as Olathe is, there are students who are missed. There are missed populations of students because you have a lot of resources, and a lot of people gravitate towards those resources. But when you don't know how to find that missed population of students, those are the students who get missed.
I understand. Did you have any trouble with the students regarding your race?
Absolutely. You know, it's surprising that Olathe Public School is an absolutely amazing district. I mean, really good people, friendly people. I have my supervisor who is Brent Yeager and John Hutchinson. Those are my two supervisors, but they're just amazing people. And then we have a senior leadership team full of people who are in it for children. They, I don't believe, in my opinion, see color. They see children, and they want all children to be successful. And the teachers, they're phenomenal.
Excellent. We did not talk about your sports background. And you played basketball, and what was that like for you?
So I really thrived at all sports. My favorite sport, the first sport I ever played was co-ed volleyball, and I loved it. I love volleyball today. But I really excelled in basketball and football. I kept quitting in high school, right? So I quit because I couldn't. I lived on 14th and Exchange, and I went to East Side, so you could see how that walk was. So
you walked from 14th and Exchange? Yes, sir. That is a walk.
Couldn't afford the bus line. My grandmother and mother was not allowing me to stay out past a certain time of the night, and playing football and basketball would put me out past those times, and so they were like, you can't stay on the team. So I hung out on the teams as long as I could, but when daylight savings caught me,
I had to bring up the sports because I love sports, and I actually ran track and played tennis in high school. My brothers were into basketball. Dr. Triplett, is there anything that we have not discussed that you want to make sure those who are watching know about you, or something you want to instill in others?
So I'm a lot of people call themselves change agents. I consider myself a game changer, and I say that because you have to be more than what people see and want, because we have to, as black men, and I want to focus on black men, we have to do the extra thing, whatever that extra thing is, to make people understand who we are and to make people see us. You know, we can walk around all day with the loudest cologne on, the best looking suit, but nobody sees you, nobody hears you. So what do you need to do for yourself to make people hear you, or to make people see you? And the more you climb, how many do you pull up when you climb? And so it's all about lifting as you climb. And so for me, I would tell every educator, get to know every student in your room. principal, get to know every kid in your building, and that way you can be that much more, and teach teachers how to be culturally responsive. That way you can reach those students. You can reach all students, not necessarily just people, students of color, but you can reach all students, because now you've created bonds and relationships, and so that's how you do it.
And what's next for Dr. Michael Triplett?
So I'm looking at probably two routes. I'm probably looking at the superintendent route, or even the college president route. One of those two routes. Either way, I want to wrap up the next 10 years changing lives.
Okay. I want to thank you for taking time to be a guest on Smiles Television Talk Show. It's really been enjoyable talking with you. And I want to thank you for tuning in to Smiles Television Talk Show. If you get the chance, Dr. Triplett, will you come back?
Absolutely.
Okay, see, we got you on camera.
And maybe we can talk about my book then.
Where can people find it?
They'll be able to find it right now. They'll be able to find it on Amazon when it's out.
Okay. Well, thank you. We'll put it up on our screen as well. Thank you for tuning in to Smiles Television Talk Show, and I hope you have enjoyed our guest, Dr. Michael Triplett. Remember, only what you do for Christ will last, and Jesus is the Lord. The Lord be magnified. Keep smiling.
Dr. Tripplett's in position, please let me explain. About to captivate your mind, are you ready for change? See, I was born in East St. Louis, I'm a project baby. For me to make it out my city, yeah, this was amazing. But what I've learned is what my students do, they persevere. So here's an open invitation, let us commandeer. With an open mind, look at Eli walking blind. All this judging and this gossiping has got you wasting time. I wrote this manuscript, come walk, let's take a trip. They showing up, nobody's forcing you, gonna get you hip. It's a mess, shaking my head, the obstacles they're going through, plus the pressure we've applied. I can tell you've seen a storm or two. If there's a heart up in your soul, or whether my mind is forming you, my demeanor is specific, cause I'll always speak the truth. I'm educated, smart, and liberated. I start at Sumner, then I'll stop after 89 blocks.
IDEX Media does a lot. From IDEX Photography to IDEX Films. We help create forever memories and forever impressions. Imagination, image a world. IDEX Media.
Awesome sauce. Yeah, baby.
If you have an interest in being a guest on Smiles Television Talk Show, or if you have any show ideas, contact Stephanie Anthony Miles at SmilesTV777@gmail.com. You may also call 618-741-3770. Tell your friends to subscribe to the Smiles YouTube channel. Let Smiles TV increase your reach. Remember, you look better with smiles.